When you see an able-bodied actor getting the part of a disabled character, what does that make you feel?
It's just letting people know that we're out there. There are lots of disabled actors out there that are able to play those roles. We are currently not even being given the non-disabled roles. So I feel that when we get to a point as disabled actors, when we get to the point where we're being offered the opportunities to play non-disabled roles, maybe we'll consider piping down about non-disabled actors playing our roles.
In this case, the character is a paraplegic.
Yeah, even a wheelchair actor will be able to take on a role like that and have a deeper understanding of what it's like to use a wheelchair.
The character is also a billionaire.
Yes.
Now, you wouldn't expect, you know, to be flip about it, you wouldn't expect that Bryan Cranston would have to be a billionaire in order to understand that role. Isn't the point of acting that you take on different roles? You speak to people who have experience of that, and then you bring that to the role.
Yes, it is absolutely about us taking on roles, which is why my argument is, let us take on roles then, because we're currently not taking on enough of them. So if acting is about non-disabled actors being able to play disabled roles, start letting us play all the other roles out there.
Jeni, you can see the sort of the importance to Melissa and to anybody that is an actor that has a disability being given an opportunity to appear in plays, on screen, wherever it might be, and being given that chance to even audition. And as she's saying, they're not even getting a chance to get into the room sometimes.
No, but I
you
think
can understand their frustration there.
The nature of the business at the minute is that lots of people are not getting into the room. I think, you know, gender, race, I think that as long as the industry becomes an entitled place, which it is, it becomes more and more difficult to decide. And I don't think it's an easy argument. But back in the day when I started, you had to get an equity card and you had to work 20 weeks to get an equity card. Then they scrapped all this. So if you were a butcher and they wanted a butcher, you hired a butcher. Or if you wanted a milkman, you hired a milkman. And the argument now has to be, should Paddington have been played by a bear?
Absolutely not. That would be ridiculous.
And should Princess Anne be played by a member of the aristocracy?
Absolutely not. But this is the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is that society will it will have a huge knock-on effect for society when we start seeing real disabled actors on our screens.
But how do you change society? How do you get in there to change it?
I think that the media have a huge part to play in changing society. I think that by having people with disabilities on our screens constantly will naturally have a huge knock-on effect.
What's the impact been for you, being in such a well-established drama like Coronation Street?
Yeah.
What's the impact been for you personally and for the reaction that you've had?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I grew up not having any disabled role models that I could look up to. And, you know, I do campaign for the rights of disabled actors. But when I was younger, I didn't say to my mum and dad, when I'm older, I want to be a disability campaigner. I said, I want to be an actor. And I think that's what it's about, you know, being able to give our next generation the chance to look up to more people.
I mean, you know, back in the day, blackface happened.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Othello was played by a white person.
And we've moved on from that.
And we are slowly changing and moving, and the Me Too movement has started, and we are moving forward. But as our lovely person here said before, an actor...
Susanna.
I said, no, as Gillian said before, an actor plays different parts.
Absolutely.
And
so why are we not being accepted in playing non-disabled
I think that's
parts?
interesting, because that, Melissa, if I'm right, your argument doesn't seem to be so much that every single disabled character needs to be played by a disabled actor. It's more that disabled actors should just be playing any parts, regardless of their disability.
We should be seeing any parts, and actually this argument probably wouldn't even exist if we were being seen. You know, we make up, as disabled people, we make up nearly 20% of the population, and that is currently not represented anywhere.
I think when Strictly put Lauren Steadman on, it was just fantastic.
And nobody...
You wouldn't have a situation where a white actor was playing a black role. I mean, that wouldn't happen, would it?
Thank God.
Well, we were talking about this last night because my husband's an actor, and I said, don't confuse me. We have in the thing that's on Les Mis now, you've got a black guy playing, would a black guy have been around that time in history? I don't know. I don't know whether he's played black. And no, you wouldn't have a white man blacking up any more than you'd have a black man whiting up.
Or a white actor taking the part of a character without even blacking up.
No, but I mean,
which would be intolerable.
But Bryan Cranston's point is really important, that he has raised this debate by doing this part, and by us talking about it, it raises the issue.
And that's fantastic, but that part existing would have just raised the point on its own, and maybe we could have let
What
a
about
disabled
sexuality
actor...
as well, Melissa? Because do you feel like gay roles should only be played by gay people?
Look, I think that
Because it's part of the same sort of...
It is, and we're bringing all of this up at the moment, but the main reason why is physically disabled actors we don't even get in the room is very appearance-based. So that is one of the main things. If it's to do with sexuality, that might not be something... You might still be able to get in the room with that, do you know what I mean? So...
But would you think that we've arrived at a point where people are frightened of talking about this stuff, of saying... bringing up the race issue, bringing up the gender issue.
And I think that's part of the problem, you know. I think that...
but that's why I'm saying, where does it stem from?
Well, I mean, historically, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't really that long ago that we even had rights to higher education.
So what would you change now?
So
what would you change this minute?
I would change that... Firstly, all producers, casting directors would see at least one disabled actor for every role. I think that they would be able to engage with a database where they are able to know that we exist.
Regardless of the definition of the character.
Regardless of... Because that's how we'll change, you know. Yes, I have one arm, but I'm also a daughter, a sister, a girlfriend. I can play all of those things because I am them. So, you know, stop seeing it as just waiting for the disabled parts. Start seeing us as being able to take on everyone.
I'm told you're not allowed to say disabled anymore.
This is nice.
She's always been very affectionate.
I'm told, I'm meant to be on the other side. I'm told that we now have to say differently abled.
I haven't heard that, and actually, you know, terminology, we have such bigger problems.
Yes.
We really do have much bigger problems out there, I think. It does help to get the right terminology. For instance, I say non-disabled actor rather than able-bodied, just because it makes out like maybe you can do something that I can't. Maybe you can. Yeah. But we have to... But saying non-disabled, it makes us feel like we have more of an advantage.
So you're saying there's 20% of the population...
Almost
20% has a disability of some sort. And of that 20%, how many are actors as well? And one of the issues is what you don't want, I'm sure, Melissa.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody being given a role just for the sake of being given a role.
I'm really glad you say that.
That will do more damage, won't it?
We're not a charity case. That's the bottom line here. I think one of the things I read online was that they said... I really hope that disabled people start to be able to participate in these things. It's not about us, you know. It's not a sport, and we're not a charity case. We are professional, often trained actors that deserve to be on stage and on screens, playing non-disabled roles. And playing our own roles too.
Yep. All right, Melissa Johns, thanks very much indeed. Lovely to talk to you. Jeni Barnett, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Lots of you getting in touch with this, mostly all saying that disabled actors out there, they need to be good enough to play. That's from Sean. Should able-bodied actors play disabled roles? Isn't that the point of acting? You know, you go taking on a different character, Dave. Surely if actors are not allowed to act, it's because it becomes a mockery. Many actors have played parts which have raised public awareness. What happens if the disabled actor is not up to scratch, which is your point as well, Melissa, isn't it? You don't want to be in that situation at all.
No.
Yeah.
But they have a Rooney rule in American football where for every job that comes up in coaching and management, they have to interview a black coach, and therefore they have a lot. So something like that...
Get us in the room and we'll do the rest. We'll show you how good we are, just get us in the room.
But I think you have to look at the industry as well. And you have... Dustin Hoffman played an autistic person in Rain Man. Would we have that now? Should it just be autistic? And I think that your contributor has just said the right thing. It's whoever is best for the part, and you're saying, get us into the room.
Get us in and we'll show you that we probably will be best.
Yeah, lovely.